When I first entered Daaji's modest flat in Chennai, the world outside seemed to fall away. The air inside was still, almost reverent, as if the quiet itself was alive. Daaji sat gently swaying on a simple wooden swing, his presence anchored and serene. There was a softness to the room, a gentle hush that felt inviting, like the embrace of a long-lost friend. As I stepped closer, Daaji looked up and offered a smile, one that radiated warmth and familiarity, as if he had been waiting just for this meeting. He reached out, his hand extended in a gesture that was both greeting and blessing. "What's going on, brother?" he asked, his voice calm, suffused with both affection and an unspoken peace. I settled into the chair across from him, feeling the subtle energy that seemed to fill the space, a sense of presence that was more than just the absence of noise. A moment later, some of his family members entered, carrying a tray with steaming tea. Before they could serve it, Daaji interjected gently, "Give him coffee, he'll like that more." It was a small thing, a simple preference, but his attention to such details spoke volumes. I smiled, touched by the observant kindness in that moment. It was as if he could see beyond words, into the heart of things. Sitting there, I became aware of something else, a stillness that seemed to radiate from Daaji. It was not just an absence of movement or speech, it was a palpable, living calm that wrapped around me. He spoke only when necessary, and yet even his silences seemed to hold meaning. In the spaces between his words, I felt truths that words could never fully capture. It was in those quiet intervals that my mind quieted, and something deeper within me began to awaken. The usual burden of questions and expectations seemed to dissolve, replaced by a quiet sense of presence. Daaji broke the silence with a gentle observation. "So, you have come here with a question?" There was no pressure, no demand, just an open invitation. I nodded. "Yes, but let me start by asking, why should I meditate?" He smiled, his eyes twinkling with understanding. "Why not? There isn't just one answer. It depends on the person. Just as people go to the same gym for different reasons, one to lose weight, another to build muscle, everyone approaches meditation from their own need. Some seek relaxation, some want mental clarity, others need an emotional anchor. But in nearly every case, something remarkable happens. They discover deeper benefits than they ever imagined." He leaned forward, his conviction gentle but unmistakable. "You may start meditating for one reason, but along the way, you begin to experience something profound, a sense of joy, an inner fulfillment, a spiritual nourishment that rises from within. Even after the first session, something feels different. Imagine what happens with the second, the third, or the 100th. You begin to change, often without realizing it." I listened, reflecting on how subtle changes can ripple through a life. "But does meditation address our core life concerns?" I asked. "Can it help with real goals, not just inner peace?" Daaji nodded, his eyes steady. "Yes, and it does so without even trying. Meditation balances your internal environment. If you're anxious, you find calm. If you're angry, you become more loving. Meditation doesn't impose a new reality. It restores your natural state. That's the magic." He paused, letting the idea settle. "As you meditate more, unnatural tendencies begin to melt away. You become more natural. That's the essence. So meditation is not just about peace, it's about becoming who I really am," I ventured. He smiled. "Yes, it peels away the layers of conditioning, of ego, of reaction. In your natural state, you are balanced, loving, open." He continued, "But understand, growth should never stop. If you think you've arrived, you've stopped evolving. Realization is not a destination. It's an infinite curve, like an asymptote. You keep approaching higher truth, but there is always more depth, more love, more light. I pondered that, a journey with no endpoint, only ever deeper unfolding. Then what are we truly moving toward? Daaji's voice was soft, but his words carried weight. From selfishness to selflessness, from reactivity to responsiveness, from the cage of ego to the freedom of humility, from form to formlessness, from the temporary to the eternal, from rigid beliefs to open-hearted understanding, from imbalance to harmony. He sighed, the sound gentle yet profound. Our world faces so many crises, political, social, economic, environmental. But at the root, it's a crisis of the human heart. A lack of love, compassion, patience, sensitivity. We try to fix these problems with laws and systems, but can any law truly change the heart? He shook his head. No. The heart must change by choice, by personal willingness. No one can force that. We can only inspire, influence, lead by example. He leaned back, his presence undiminished. Rather than trying to change others, change yourself. Love them, serve them, accept them. That alone is enough. This is humanity. His eyes softened. Have you ever seen a mother scold her child just because others tell her to? No. Even if the child is wrong, her love is protective. Why? Because love ensures acceptance. Where there is love, forgiveness follows. Compassion follows. You don't need a rule book for kindness when your heart is filled with love. But don't people change after deep, powerful spiritual experiences? I asked. He paused, choosing his words with care. Not always. Experiences can inspire change, but they don't guarantee it. A person might feel bliss, but without the discipline of meditation, the lesson fades. True change is not just emotional, it's structural. It must touch all layers of consciousness. He offered a gentle analogy. When you want a donkey to move, you show it green grass. That's how experience works. It motivates. But don't fall in love with the grass. The goal is to move forward. I smiled. Eventually, no donkey remains. He laughed, a bright, free sound. Yes, when the ego melts, when your heart aligns with divinity, what remains is only peace. Stillness. You no longer try to speak joy. You become joy. Like a droplet merging with the ocean, you become the ocean. In that moment, I understood. This was not just a conversation. Daaji's presence itself was the teaching. Every breath, every pause, every smile was a meditation, a silent transmission of deeper reality. Does that mean religion, books and teachings are not enough without direct experience? I asked. He nodded. Yes, teachings alone don't change people. If they did, humanity would have changed by now. You can read 1,000 scriptures, quote great masters, but if you've never tasted the divine in your own heart, those words remain just words. Only personal experience leads to real transformation. Religion, when reduced to philosophy or form, fragments us. But direct experience, through meditation, unites us. That's why truth is one. The wise describe it in many ways. He leaned in, his gaze gentle and unwavering. Even if you believe in God, but feel no presence, that belief cannot penetrate the heart. It remains superficial until you feel it as real, as immediate, as living within you. To experience that, to really know, it must become real to you. That's the role of meditation. As the conversation faded into a comfortable silence, I realized the real journey was just beginning. The wisdom lingered, not as memory, but as a living presence, quietly transforming from within. This is the way of heartfulness. Not just concepts or philosophies, but bold inner change, one breath at a time, one silent moment at a time, from complexity to simplicity, from separation to connection, from effort to grace, and it all begins with the heart.